Well, the aftermath of Jeffrey Epstein's ugly personal life and sexual misdeeds with underage women continues to resonate across our nation even after his suicide in prison. American presidents, Ivy League academics, and world leaders all appear to be caught up in his demented mix of power, wealth, and disgustingly deviant sexual behavior. But it's the abuse and trafficking of minors that's the most repulsive. Recently, I sat down with a man who is working to disrupt the sexual trafficking industry and to protect young women and men from being preyed upon and enslaved by criminals for profit. Now, if you are a parent or a grandparent, I want to urge you, listen closely to this important interview with Jaco Booyens. How did you get involved in what has now become a global problem?
Yeah, it's an epidemic, and unfortunately local, domestic here, it's an epidemic. My sister was trafficked. So raised by a single mom, 2 brothers and youngest sister, and when that happens, you're thrusted into a world that we didn't even know. And this is in the mid-90s.
Yeah.
And then you immigrate to the United States, you think you've escaped this, sis is back. It psychologically and emotionally takes a lot of healing.
You came from South Africa.
Yes.
Now, was that where your sister was?
Sister was trafficked in South Africa.
How did that even happen? How did she get into being trafficked?
We're in Music City.
Yeah.
She was trafficked by a record label.
Really?
By her label.
So she was a singer.
She was a singer, signed a deal in South Africa, won a contest like an American Idol as a teenager, and then unfortunately was raped and then forced to be in a trafficking situation in South Africa. And mom had enough wherewithal to bring sis to Nashville, Tennessee, music, escape, start over, we immigrate. And then when I arrived, I started noticing trends and said, listen, there's trafficking happening in Nashville. I lived in Nashville for 10 years and then went to Dallas. And as we understood it, it's very prevalent in the US. Your heart, look, you're destroyed, then said, cannot happen to another child. And it is very real. Governor, it is in our country. It's in every zip code. It's no respecter of man, race, socioeconomic class, gender. It doesn't care because it's a real problem because it produces real capital.
I think a lot of us walk around every day oblivious to that people are being trafficked like property.
Absolutely.
What is it to look for?
Change in behavior for sure. Social status, friendship circle shifting, either way. No friends, a lot of friends, all of a sudden an introvert, right? Change in music they listen to, behavior. It's time for the American soccer mom, the soccer mom that is most powerful woman on the planet because she's got other people's children in her car. She hears everything. The radar has to go up, Governor. We have to get back to the foundation. For me, it's the Word of God. And he says the orphan and the widow, protect the least, protect those that are being exploited. And we need to step up and be vocal about these things. But we want to educate moms, dads to step up and say, look, as there's smoke, there's fire. Report something. And to know what to look for is difficult because, like I said, I help FBI, CIA. These guys are not trained in the police academy. This is what an 8-year-old looks like when she's selling sex 20 times a day.
See, it's just unimaginable to me that people would do this to a child. Are these girls often kidnapped and taken from their families? Are some of them still living at home but being trafficked even while they're still at home and their parents just think they're going through a stage?
The #1 rising trend in the United States is families trafficking their own children. Okay? Now, you see it all. Runaways, for sure. Underprivileged community is completely exploited, right? Unfortunately, 30% of the kids in our foster care system are being trafficked in foster care. So this is an epidemic because one child will bring a pimp or a handler $200,000 to $250,000 a year tax-free. Now you got a real problem. You got a real problem.
We're talking really big money going on here.
So very organized at times. It runs into the top circles. Your average buyer, the man that pays for sex, is a guy that earns north of $100,000 a year. He's got a great job in the community. He's part of the PTA. He's probably a booster at the school. These are influential guys with expendable income, disposable income, right? That they can pay 2-3 times a week for sex. And the entry drug to forcing a child to have sex with an adult is pornography. No question, no doubt. I believe this, and Mother Teresa at one point said this: if you cannot defend children, you've lost your nation. In this country, if we cannot defend children, we've lost the nation. We've lost the nation.
What a powerful, powerful statement. You know, my heart is breaking listening to you. Again, you know, I think I walk around the streets largely oblivious. I cannot conceive that somebody would think it's okay to have sex with a child and to pay money for it and to say, oh, I'll never get caught.
We are living today in this country in a culture of death. We're in a death culture.
Yeah.
That's why abortion is so prevalent. The enemy is not here to play games. It's a death culture. Suicide is through to the roof. Abortion is through the ceiling, right? It's a death culture. We've got to start embodying a life culture, because there's a generational move here now where men, unfortunately, we've done such a brilliant job in this country convincing women that they're here for pleasure of men, that women are now buying the lie, perpetuating it. And I was praying the other day, if I can't say this on your show, I was really praying. I was speaking at a Turning Point event, Charlie Kirk, and they do amazing work.
They do.
Turning Point, thank you for them. I was speaking and I asked God, why? I was speaking to a women's group, and God said, Jaco, listen. And this is a fact, 1 in 3 American children today have no father at home. 1 in 3.
1 in 3.
1 in 3. Now,
Right.
remember that. And God said to me, it's moms that are raising young boys. The mothers are raising the boys. If you could degrade the mother to be less than and be broken and be a sex object, there's not a whole person to raise a strong young man to later on pour back into women and build a strong society and culture. So if you want to break a culture like the British did in South Africa, you don't fight the men. You kidnap the women, you put them in concentration camps. You break the women, you break the men. That's why women are being so attacked, because he wants to break men. It's a fact.
Jaco, what you say is powerful, it's frightening, and I hope it wakes people up. I truly do, and I want to say thank you for calling our attention to it. My thanks to Jaco Booyens for his dedication to ending this horror of human trafficking. Now, there's a DVD that you can get. It's called 8 Days. You can get it online at 8daysfilm.org. You learn more about his book. It Starts With Women, what he was just saying. And that's at jacobooyens.com.